Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Forget the particular number of the verse.
52.
52. Great.
Madhya chapter 22. Madhya chapter 22, text 52. Welcome.
Rahu Ganaita Tapasanayati Rahu Ganaita Tapasanayati Nache Jaya Nirvapanad Grihatva Nache Jaya Nirvapanad Grihatva Nachandasana Vajaga Jalagni Surya Nachandasana Vajalagni Surya Vina Mahatpada Rajo Vishekam Vinat Pada Rajabash Vinat Mahatpada Rajobhishekam Rahu Ganaita Tapasanayati Nache Jayanirvapanat Grihadva Nachandasanaiva Jalagni Surya Vina Mahatpada Rajobhishekam
Raghunaita tapasanayati
Rahu Ganaita Tapasanayati
Nache jaya nirvapanat grihatva
Nache Jayanirvapanat Grihadva
Nachandadasa naivajali surya
Nachandasa Jali Surya Vinat Pada Rajobhishekam Rahu Ganaita Tapasanayati Nache Jayanirvapanat Grihadva Nachandasanaiva Jalagni Surya Vinat Pada Rajobhishekam
Rahu Ganaita tapasanayati
Rahu Ganaita Tapasanayati Nache Jayanirvapanat Grihadva
Chandasanaiva jalagni surya
Nachandasanaiva Jalagni Surya
Vina Mahatpada Rajobhishekam
Vinat Mahatpada Rajobhishekam Rahu Ganaita Tapasanayati Nache Jaya Nirvapana Grihadva Nachandasanaiva Jalagni Surya Vina Mahatpada Rajo Vishekam Rahuganam Akin Rahuganam Etat this Tapasa by severe austerities and penances Nayati one doesn't attain Na neither Cha also Ijaya by gorgeous worship Nirvapanat by entering the renounced order of life Grihat by sacrifice while living in the home Va or Nachandasa nor by scholarly study of the Vedas Na not Eva certainly Jala Agni Suryai by worshipping water, fire, or scorching sunshine. Vina without Mahatpada Raja of the dust of the lotus feet of a Mahatma. Abhishekam, the sprinkling. Translation purported by His Divine Grace Abhishekam Swami Shilapada Ki. O King Rahugana, without taking upon one's head the dust from the lotus feet of a pure devotee, a Mahajana or Mahatma, one cannot attain devotional service. Devotional service is not possible to attain simply by undergoing severe austerities and penances, by gorgeously worshipping the deity, or by strictly following the rules and regulations of the sannyasa or grihastha order. No, it is attained by studying the Vedas, submerging oneself in water, or exposing oneself to fire, or scorching sunlight. Purport. This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.12.12. Jadabharata herein tells King Rahugana how he attained the Paramahamsa stage. Maharaja Rahugana, the king of Sindhu Sauvira, had asked Jadabharata how he had attained the Paramahamsa stage. The king had called him to carry his palanquin, but when the king heard from Paramahamsa Jadabharata about the supreme philosophy, he expressed surprise and asked Jadabharata how he had attained such great liberation. At that time, Jadabharata informed the king how to become detached from material attraction. Om Magena Timirandasya Ghinanjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svaya Vrupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Srimate Mukam karoti vachalam pangum pankade grimati badamaham andeshi guru janta. Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. We have 15 minutes to discuss one of the most important verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't know what to do, but anyway. Does anyone remember what we're reading now from CC? Last week we discussed it from Chaitanya Charitamrta. Whose dialogue is this? Wonderful. And who pronounced this particular verse?
Or you say that?
Yeah. No, I mean, who quoted this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam? Mahaprabhu. Okay. Okay. Yes. And in this particular chapter, I mean, in this couple previous verses and couple next verses, this one as well, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he clarifies this association with devotees. And he quoted the most important verses from the Shastra, just to give his statement, this, how to say it, like proof, to prove his statement. And this particular one is from 5th canto of Bhagavatam. Also, really wonderful story. Jadabharata. Who's Jadabharata?
Right. Deer, right?
Huh?
He's a deer, right?
Deer. Maybe his previous life he was a deer, yes. Yes, but this life he became as a Jadabharata. I don't know if you have this expression in English, but we have some kind of saints in Orthodox Christian tradition. We call them Gerudivы. Okay, yeah, so this means when some person, he act as a madman, completely mad. No one understands what he's doing, like he's crazy. He appears as a crazy person, but he's at the same time he's a great sage. Because he pretend to be like, crazy to avoid this mundane association with people who wants to talk about political things, about, I don't know. So.
It looks like holy fool or something like this.
Holy fool. I don't know, do you understand? Yeah, do you have this kind of sages?
No.
Like for people, it looks like a fool person, but actually it's meditation.
Yeah. So the person pretend he's crazy just to avoid this association with people, For society doesn't bother him, just involve him in some strange activities of modern civilization. So Jadabharata, after he spent his previous life as a deer, and his previous life before he became a deer, he was the emperor of this planet, and he was really great one, And to attain this spiritual advancement, he left all his position. He left his kingdom not because, he had some enemies who attacked him, or he has some problem in his family life, and he just wanted to escape it as soon as possible because, his wife just, how do I call this? He has some problems, in his relationships. Or maybe his kids, maybe they had bad behavior, and that's why he was so upset when he left the kingdom. No. He was a really successful one, he had successful kingdom. His kingdom was successful, his family life was successful, even his kids. If any of you has kids, may understand me. My son is 17 years old. And every day I think that I'm completely fool, I did everything wrong by growing him. Hopefully after some years, my teenage son will realize I'm not so bad, but anyway. So, yeah. Bharata Maharaj, everything was okay in his life. Still, he left all of this just to attain this spiritual progress. He left everything, he went to the forest, and in severe austerities, actually, he achieved the level of bhava, I believe. No, so he was after anartha nivritya, varucha, sakti, bhava level, one of the highest level of spiritual advancement. That means he had this transcendental emotion. He loved the Lord with all his heart, and he served him. And what was the only mistake he made? The main mistake he made? Bharata Maharaj?
You got attached to your deer.
Yes. And how it's happened? Huh? Yes, that's the main point. You see, today's verse we read today, yes, Jada Bharata, which is the same, Bharata Maharaj, the same deer, yes, he quoted this is one of the main important verses he actually, in whole his teaching, he mentioned. That's a realization of his at least 3 previous lives. Life when he was a great emperor of the world, and he left everything. He was so renounced, he left everything. He lived in the forest. He preferred severe austerities. Because in today's verse he quoted, yes, you cannot achieve this by performing severe austerities, standing in surrounded by the fire or in a coldish water, nor by knowledge, nor by performing all your varnashram dharma, yes, grihastha, vanaprastha, brahmacharya, sannyasi. You cannot attain this, level of perfection of devotional service. That's impossible by doing so. And his realization, because that's the realization of his life, without association with devotees, everything's useless. Such a great example. Also, what was the problem? He never asked anyone, should I serve this deer? Is it my devotional service to protect this deer? Because the full story is, maybe some of you didn't read, this 5th canto of Bhagavatam, but this great emperor of the world, he left everything, he lived in the forest, performed his austerities, and once situation happened that it was a tiger and a deer, and mother deer, she has baby deer, and this tiger, actually, she was like, she was pregnant with a baby deer, yes, and she was afraid of this tiger. She jumped away from the river, something, so jumped away from this tiger, and she left her body because of fear of the tiger, and she gave birth to this little deer. And Rahugana, he saw all this, situation, and he thought, okay, perfection of spiritual life is compassion, Kabajibadoya, Koreodoya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he chanted in the last prayers of this bhajan, Kaba Hababol. So the perfection of spiritual life is compassion, real compassion, Jibadoya, compassion to all living beings. So Bharata, he thought, okay, compassion, so I should take care of this deer. And he did so. And by serving this deer, little deer, he became more and more attracted for this deer. And finally, in the end of his life, at the end of the day, yes, he left his body by thinking about this deer. How beautiful it is, how cute is it, deer, In our life, in modern life, it's difficult to imagine, some person who attracted to deer, but maybe for a cat or dog. People saw there, like animals, and obviously they attracted for them naturally. And it might cause a problem when, at the moment of death, you might think not about the Lord, but about your puppy, kitten. And next life, yam yam smaram patiba bhavam tyajantatika kalevaram. Yes, from Bhagavad Gita, this verse. Yes. So the state of mind at the end of your life, in state of mind you live in your body. Next life you will take this body from the point he finished. So Bharata Maharaj, even from the level of bhava, he fell. Why? Because he didn't have association with devotees. He asked no one. But that wasn't just common life of a deer, because he remembered his previous life. Can you imagine how difficult it might be when you have this full understanding, this full memory of your previous life? As we know, Narada Muni, he cursed Nalakavera and Manugriva, and they take birth as two Arjuna Yamala trees, and took in these Krishna pastimes, we know when Damodara Lila happened, Krishna freed them. Can you imagine this? 100 million years they just stand unable to move. When you have this consciousness of demigod and you can't even move, this might be difficult, real difficult, So Bharata Maharaj as well, when he became a deer, it wasn't like easy part of his life, And what was the spiritual practice this Bharata Maharaj he performed when he got this body of a deer? Anyone remember? Huh?
You're still meditating on the Supreme Lord.
Chaitanya Charitamrta ki jai.
You didn't associate with theirs.
Yes, he left association with other deers. Yeah. Probably he has nothing to talk with them about in deer language. And what was the main point? He found association with devotees. He attended every time, when some sages surrounded and have some Krishna Katha, Bharata Maharaj in the body of a deer, he came and visited. You can find it still in some holy places, especially some animals, some cows or dogs. They come to listen to Bhagavad Katha. They, like some, even snakes, we know in Shida Mayapur, sometimes snakes, when it's flooding in Mayapur, some snakes came for, I believe, Narasimhadev, got a darshan, performed parikram, surrounded him, and flew away. Devotees was terrified, what's going on? Snake! So, even now, at time, we can find some example like this. And sometimes, yes, some devotees, they have some, cats or dogs anyway, and they're a really special one, because they took prasadam, and they, somehow they offer their obeisances to devotees, a lot of interesting stories in this regard. But anyway, so this deer, this Bharata Maharaj, in the body of deer, he took the cessation of devotees really seriously. He never left it, And next life, he became a Jada Bharata. And Jada Bharata, all his life, he pretended that he was completely full, His father, he was a Brahmana, and he teach him how to act properly, how you should take bath after when you're not clean, So Jada Bharata, he was completely opposite. When first he took bath, then he, how to say it, go to the toilet and other things, He pretended he was completely idiot, That's it. All his life, he barely talked to anyone. Everyone thought he was he was like animal. And even once, some people, some worshippers of Kali, of Durga Devi, they wanted to, because usually followers of Durga Devi, they can perform some sacrifices with animals. So they thought, okay, the Jada Bharata, he's an animal. Let's slaughter him in this sacrifice. And Jada Bharata, he never even complained about this. He was ready to be slaughtered, in this sacrifice. That was his level. We cannot imitate this, but that was his spiritual level. His understanding he's not this body, But Durga Devi, she was unable to tolerate this, So she appeared and she killed all this so-called priests who wanted to slaughter Jada Bharata. And he never complained about, even in this moment, he never complained. But the very first time he started to talk, what was the situation? When he met king, Because if the king is, when he saw that the king, he's like, how to say it, like he don't get the spiritual knowledge. And this Jadabharata, he had this compassion. He understood, okay, Mahajana Yednaga Dasa Pantach. If even the king of this kingdom, he don't understand the spiritual knowledge, I should preach to him. I shouldn't keep quiet as well, So that was the moment. Actually, he carried his palanquin, and he was afraid to step on any end. And because of this, when you walk with palanquin on your shoulder, when he stepped, every time he looked, okay, there is an end. I shouldn't step. I shouldn't kill it. And because of this, this king of Sauvira, Rahugana Maharaja, he said in palanquin like this, And he once, twice, 3 times, he mentioned, okay, be careful, no. And then finally, he was ready to kill, this Jadabharata. To punish him at least, Why are you reacting like this? Your duty is, I'm a king, your duty is to follow my rules, you should care probably properly. And when Jadabharata, when he saw such an ignorance, that this king of this kingdom, he didn't get this spiritual, he didn't understand this Atma Tattva. He thought, okay, I should talk now. And when he opened his mouth, this king, Rahugana Maharaja, he was, wow, who is this? This so-called idiot, this person, this Jadabharata, he understood, his spiritual level immediately. And he asked him questions. And we didn't have time for these questions. Wonderful questions that Rahugana Maharaja, he asked. But anyway, he asked a lot of questions. Then he got instructions from Jadabharata. And still, king didn't understand anything. He said, I don't understand you. How can I understand the spiritual knowledge? You preach me in such a high level. And then Jadabharata, he said, okay, if you want to understand the spiritual knowledge, if you really want to understand Krishna himself, Tattvam Yajnanam Advayam, Brahmati, Paramatmati, Bhagavanti, Shabate, if you want to get this point, it's impossible to do by performing austerities. It's impossible to do by performing your duties as a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprasko, sannyasi. It's impossible to understand with logic, with philosophy. The only way to understand this, Mahajano Padarajo Vishekam. If you remember from this class, just this line. Mahajano Padarajo Vishekam. That will be successful of this class, greatest success of this class. The last line of this verse. The only way to achieve this understanding, Mahajana Padaraja Bhishekam. So, yes, by taking this dust of the feet of the devotees. And the next verse, he explains who is this pure devotee. This is the people who completely avoid this association with politics, who talk only about Krishna, who serve Krishna in 5, 12, 13. Okay, I have to finish now, 5 minutes late. Maybe at least we have to free our brahmacharis to distribute books. And yeah, actually, that's why you can easily connect this with today's verse, because Srila Prabhupada, he gave us holy scriptures to give people opportunity to get association with devotees, with pure devotee, with Srila Prabhupada himself, and all our previous acharyas. So that's what we're doing, we try to give them this knowledge. Maybe there are any comments or questions for some, not so in rush. Yes, I'll have a book.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So it says, without taking upon one's head the dust from the lotus feet of a pure devotee, a Mahajana or a Mahatma, one cannot attain devotional service. Somewhere else in the literatures that we study, I've seen in a purport from Srila Prabhupada that to take the dust of the lotus feet of a devotee means to follow in their footsteps. Is this what it's actually meaning? Or is it meaning to go around and finding the dust where people have been walking and smear it on your head and you'll suddenly be elevated?
Both.
Thank you.
really short answer, but yeah, actually, that means both. You know, obviously, I mean, we don't want to disturb pure devotee. We don't want, you know, when sannyasi came and we tried to, you know, break his legs by, you know, grabbing his feet. No, obviously we should serve him. But you know, when you took dust from the feet, that means you take this humble position. Okay, you're a senior, I'm humble, I want to listen to you, I want to get your instructions, I want to get your blessings. Because I understand that just with my intelligence, just with my brain, I cannot understand anything in these holy books, you know. I read this in black words written in white. I read it twice, third, fifth times, you know, I understand nothing. If you understand something in these books, you should serve devotees. That's the point. That's the only point. You can understand in any other way. You can try to understand this logical way, with any other ways, but if you don't, you know, serve devotees, that's just impossible. So obviously, because actually, in the context of today's verse, again, it is explained in at least let's read this translation of this verse. Just a moment. Bhagavatam 5:20-13. Because in the next verse, Jada Bharata, he explains who is this pure devotee. Who are the pure devotee mentioned here? It is an assembly of pure devotees. There is no question of discussing material subject like politics and sociology. In an assembly of pure devotees, there is discussion only of the qualities, forms, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is praised and worshipped with full attention in the association of pure devotee by constantly hearing such topics respectfully. Even a person who wants to merge into the existence of the absolute truth abandons this idea and gradually becomes attached to the service of Vasudeva. So I think make it a little more clear. Yeah. And yeah, all Bhagavatam about this. Srila Narada Muni, in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 5th chapter, Narada Muni appears first time. When he appears, when Srila Vasudeva, he wrote everything. Already he wrote all the holy scriptures. He divided one Veda to 4 parts, Rig, Sama, Yajur, Atharva. He maintained these 4 sampradayas for each of these Vedas. His disciples, actually, you know, they become leaders of the sampradayas. Then he wrote these Puranas, Itihasas, Mahabharata as well, and even Bhagavad Gita. He wrote this 100 verses of Mahabharata, which, you know, conclusion of this Mahabharata is Bhagavad Gita. It's Gita Jayanti we celebrate today. Actually tomorrow, but we celebrate today because it's Sunday. And after all of this, you know, Srila Vasudeva, he sat unsatisfied. The author, you know, he was unsatisfied. He was in such a, what I did wrong, you know. I served all these people. I served, you know, I acted with compassion. All my life I spent just doing so, and still I'm satisfied. And this moment, Narada Muni appears, his spiritual master. The moment disciple is ready, spiritual master appears immediately. And Narada Muni, he started to he started immediately with the root of the problem. Are you happy, dear Vyasadeva, by associating yourself with your body and your mind? That was the first question he asked his disciple. And it was wonderful dialogue. Yeah, I mean, we don't have time to go deeper in this, but anyway, main points are Srila Vyasadeva, he wasn't satisfied, even when he wrote all these holy scriptures. Why he wasn't satisfied? What was the reason? Sorry? Exact point. I mean, Vyasadeva actually, he glorified the Lord, yes, in Bhagavad Gita, but again, 100 verses of Mahabharata, just 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita. So 0.7%. This is too less. That's why he wasn't satisfied. And the main question is, even if the author of all these Vedic scriptures, all this Vedic knowledge, you know, he wasn't satisfied by when he wrote all this, how can a person who study all these holy scriptures can be satisfied? Impossible. It's just impossible. And then he got this instruction from Narada Muni. What should he do? Describe this pastimes of the Lord directly, without all this breach preaching. Just give it as it is. And this is Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma projita kaita votra paramonirma tsaranam satam vetyam vasta mamatra vasta shivadam tapatruin mulanam Shrimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krita Kimva Parayishvaraha Hridya Sadhya Hridya Varudhya Tetra Kirti Brisha Shushubistakshanat. This wonderful, I just quoted the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then third verse, Nigama Kalpa Taror Galitam Halam Shukha Mukha Dravyam Rita Samyutam Pibato Bhagavatam Rasamalaya Muhuraho Rasika Buyu Bhavukaha. These wonderful verses, they glorify the Srimad Bhagavatam, like, and I can't quote it in English, unfortunately. I can quote it in my native language, but not in English. Oh, sorry. Anyway, the idea is, and does anyone know remember this translation of second and third verse of Bhagavatam? Anyway, so the idea is, this Srimad Bhagavatam is like cream of this milk, of this Vedic literature. It appears from Shukadeva Goswami's mouth, and because of this he became even more sweeter, even though he gave his sweetness to everyone, including liberated souls. This is the third verse of Bhagavatam. Yes, so this is Srimad Bhagavatam we studied. Srimad Bhagavatam is like conclusion of whole Vedas. Yeah, please. Yes, please.
Rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavad Purana proclaims the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth covers the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, empowered by the great sage Vyasadeva and his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the mention of the Bhagavatam, this culture of knowledge is pre-mortem established within his heart.
And the third verse as well, please. Third, yeah. Nigama Kalpa Taror Galitam Halam. No, that's the last one. Let's finish with this.
For expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the pure fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures, emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including the souls.
Thank you very much. Yes, no, that's the point. I mean, if you want to understand this absolute truth, you should take Mahajana Padarajabhishekam. Accept this dust of the lotus feet on your head, which means instructions, which means service, which means association with devotees and this association with devotees means to discuss Krishna pastimes, not to discuss some politic things or to discuss, some gossip things. If you came to association with devotees, avoid these things. Just discuss Krishna Katha. And you can do so only by reading Srila Prabhupada's books. If you don't read them, you don't want to discuss them. That's the point. So we're starting this marathon of distributing books and also marathon of reading, I would say. For some of us, if you want to distribute books properly, read them. That's the point. Okay, I have to finish now. Sorry. Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Chaitanya Charitamrta ki jai, Srila Pachita Pavani ki jai, Jai Gaura Premanande, Nanda Kocha Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.